mateys.
Hello and welcome to ChuckyVision, the podcast about the Child's Play franchise and Chucky, here on the We Made This Podcast network. My name is Mark Adams and I am your host for this episode, and with me as always is my co-host Dev Elson. Hello Dev.
Hello Mark, and hello everyone.
This is a interesting episode. I think it's our last scheduled kind of monthly episode before we'll be going into our coverage of Series 2 of Chucky. Dev, and it all comes from a vote that you put on Twitter. Do you want to explain what happened?
Yeah, well, it made perfect sense. It made perfect sense only at the end of our specials, but we had been doing all these specials from Season 1 to Season 2. And after Season 1, we had this big special episode where we got questions from the audience and we chatted with fans and stuff. And throughout all of these specials, we never asked the audience what specials they wanted. So
That's true.
For this last special, we did a poll on Twitter and we did 4 things that were on our list of stuff to do, whether now or after Season 2. And we here are the results. So in a resounding 0%, fourth place was Annabelle from 2014. Nobody apparently cares about that movie.
I want to see that film, but I did vote for something else.
I have seen Annabelle 1 and 2, and for the life of me can't remember which is which. They are not memorable movies.
Oh, I thought they were relatively critically acclaimed.
Oh, I don't think they were critically acclaimed. They were financially successful.
Oh. I suppose there is a difference between those two things.
I think, like The Boy, they would be fun to discuss with you. But we're not doing that yet. So in third place was another Haunted Doll movie. It was Dolly Dearest from 1991. And that got 8.3%.
That 8.3 is probably one vote, and it's me.
We have mentioned that movie numerous times, and I guess we'll get to it one day.
It is a massive favourite of mine. It is.
And then the top two, that were 50-50 for a time, and also number 3 here was in the lead for a while, Chucky on TV. And so that was, I listed WWF and SNL. So that was going to be both Chucky appearing on, was it WCW Nitro? And
Yeah,
also WWE when Chucky Season 1 started. And then it was also going to be a couple of the parodies Saturday Night Live did. We were also going to throw in a bonus talking about I think it was the 90s Horror Hall of Fame, because I think Chucky was in the first one. So we're going to talk about that, but we'll have to cover that next time, because with a resounding 66.7%, we got our top 5 Chucky Kills. And because we like to deliver above and beyond, we have upped that to top 10 Chucky Kills. So that is possibly 20 kills total, or maybe a couple doubles, depending if we pick some of the big ones.
I'm pretty sure there's going to be some doubles, because mine choices aren't obscure ones. The reason we went for top 10 rather than top 5 is there's so many films and there's a TV show that it would mean that each film wouldn't have a kill from it, potentially. So we did come up with some rules, and Dev, you're going to have to check that I'm making sense when I explain this. So, the rules are, the kill has to be by Chucky. So if it's by Tiffany or by another character, it does not count. You can't pick that kill.
Which is interesting, because when we looked at particularly Bride and Seed of Chucky, There's quite a number of kills not by Chucky.
There is. So there are some kills in Bride and Seed that we might have considered that we weren't allowed to because of these rules. The next rule is one pick from each of the 7 Child's Play films, one pick from the TV series, one pick from the remake, and one wild card that can be from any of those other 9 films or telly shows.
Do you know which one is your free pick?
I know which film I picked the wild card from, yes.
Yeah, I believe I didn't list it, but I think when I'll get to it, I know, because there's a couple of contentious choices in my list, and I think the free pick is one of them. Because yeah, some of these, the one kill per film addendum was a really interesting choice, because some movies only have, if you're counting people killed by Chucky, only 3 or 4 kills. And then, of course, there's the TV show, and that has like at least 1 or 2 kills per episode. So there's a lot from that. But then, it's not just about quantity, it's about quality. There's some iconic kills from all of these movies.
So for me, there were a couple of films and the TV series that had a lot of difficult choices. But for Child's Play 3, even Curse of Chucky, I didn't struggle to pick a favourite, but there were some, like the TV series, and particularly Child's Play 2 and Seed of Chucky, that I struggled to pick just one. And I think if we had free reign, possibly Child's Play and Child's Play 3 wouldn't have a kill in there at all.
Ooh, that's certainly interesting, because, yeah, we'll definitely get into it where with some of these films, there were very different kills in terms of for different reasons. Like, is this a good kill for representing Chucky as a character? Is this a really inventive kill? Is this like a sad kill, like a character we like? There's a lot of different reasons for picking certain kills. And also, the thing we'll be doing at the end of this episode is we're going to do a sort of ranking draft where if we've ordered these, so it is from 10th place to 1st place, and 10th place, that movie, that kill, will be 1 point, and our 1st place will get a big 10 points. So, depending on which movies we've picked, which kills we've picked, we'll find out who reigns supreme, because we have some love for Child's Play 3, but it's not a favourite of the fandom. And a lot of people love Bride, and Bride is a fan favorite. And then there's Chucky the TV show, which is kind of could win on just the matter of how many kills there are in that. So it'll be interesting to find out what reigns supreme at the end. Like what entry has the best kills.
Yeah, and I think the reality is the kills that we both have in our lists are the ones that are going to get into the kind of ChuckyVision top 5 that we're doing at the end. We're going to add all the scores together. So, for example, if my number 1 kill is your number 2 kill, that will score 19 points and will almost inevitably be the top kill of us. So I don't think we've explained it very well, but we'll explain it again a little bit later, because I just want to get into it. I want to talk about some kills. Are you ready, Dev?
Oh yeah, let's get right into it. Yeah.
So, would you like to tell us what your number 10 kill is?
My number 10 kill. We're starting with a strong film. We're starting with Child's Play 2. Which is interesting. It's an omen for how, maybe controversial, maybe how interesting my list is going to be, to put a kill like this, which is pretty memorable, right at number 10. But it's going to be the unnamed technician, the guy who went to fix the machine at the end of the film, only for Chucky to slash him on the cheek, him to fall into the machine, and then get those good guy eyes popped right into his face.
That's your number 10?
Yeah! That is number 10, yes.
That is one of the most iconic kills in the entire franchise. I realise there's a minor spoiler in that my utter horror that's your number 10.
Well, my reasoning is it is very iconic, but aside from visually looking very cool, it is still an unnamed technician. It's just a guy that gets killed. And it doesn't really affect the plot in any way, and there's not much reasoning behind choosing it other than it looks cool.
You have clearly done your top 10 in a very different way to me. Mine are cool kill, cool kill, cool kill, cool kill, cool kill. There was no thought. There was just watch all the kills and, oh, that's a good one. Put that in. Fucking hell. Funnily enough, that's a massive spoiler, and I don't know how we're going to not do massive spoilers. But I think we're going to be talking about the technician's eyes again later on for some reason, Dev. My number 10 is from Child's Play 3, and it is the death of Botnik. Presto, you're dead.
Ooh,
because the line. Child's Play 3 did not have many kills that I liked. I liked that one, and I did quite like the utter savagery, just completely unprovoked killing of the bin man. I thought that was cruel as fuck. But I think because of the line and because it was a justifiable kill, Botnik, Presto, You're Dead was my pick from Child's Play 3, but it was my least favourite of all the 10 that I picked.
Yeah, Botnik is not in my list. I really considered putting him near the bottom because it is a good one. And I think more so than the technician, it's one of those satisfying kills because, Chucky's a killer. He's a serial murderer. You shouldn't really be rooting for him. But this is one of those rare victims who is unequivocally an asshole. And so it's very satisfying to see him get his, especially when Chucky, his pun is a play on Botnik's own phrasing.
Yeah, I think that's why I liked it more than I liked the bin man, but that was a close one for me for Child's Play 3.
Yeah, the bin man, wasn't in my list either, but I also really considered that just because it's quite a cruel one, that isn't it? That man was just trying to save a child.
Yeah. So, what was your number 9, Dev?
My number 9 was also from Child's Play 3. Immediately, very early on in this list, we're going to be getting into contentious debates because this death is Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Brett Shelton. He was the asshole who bullies Andy the entire film, and then when they're doing the whole paintball sequence, they all see Chucky, they all go, oh, Andy was actually right about that doll. And then out of nowhere, the red team comes up and blows Shelton away in slow motion.
So it was because Chucky had replaced the dummy bullets with real bullets?
Yes. Technically, Chucky did not pull the trigger, but he set up that whole scenario intentionally wanting people to die.
That counts as a kill for me for Chucky because it's murder.
Is. Yeah.
He has murdered that boy by his actions. So yeah, that counts. I don't see that as contentious.
Okay, I'm glad you agree because it's an effective one because that could have been a bloody massacre. That could have been people getting shot on both sides. It could have been, a wasteland. But I think it works really well as a highlight in that otherwise middling movie because he is similarly a character like Botnik, who is an asshole. He's an asshole the entire film, and yet you still feel sympathetic for his death because, he's an asshole, but he doesn't deserve to die in such a way.
He's still so young as well, isn't it?
So that was one I liked because it's simple, it's just a gunshot, but there's a cruelty from Chucky.
It's a good pick. It wasn't one I would have put down as an honourable mention. I didn't have any honourable mentions really on Child's Play 3. But my number 9 is also quite a controversial choice because 2 reasons. The film that it's from being so low on the list, but also it being the less obvious choice for that film.
Okay.
Mine is Caputo's death in Child's Play, where his house is made of exploding. So I have always been a big fan of exploding shit in films. I've always love it when stuff that would not blow up anything like that much blows up like that, like gigantic fireballs from a mini or whatever. I just love it when things are made of explodium in films, and there aren't that many things made of explodium in the Child's Play franchise. And I was watching it back. I've seen the film so many times, but watching it back, and the hammer to the face and then the fall through the window is bizarrely a little bit underwhelming to me these days. So I went for the Explodium House because I really enjoyed it.
And that's interesting that you went pair in pair with my number 9, because that is very similarly a guy shooting a gun and dying because of something that Chucky set up. Chucky does not kill him directly, but I guess he does.
Oh, that's true, actually. I'm glad that I said that you could have yours now.
I would say that's very much Chucky's fault.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
But that's an interesting one, because, there's, when you think Chucky kill, no blood. No blood, just an explosion.
True. And I do wonder whether or not Caputo might have survived, because there was some talk about that for the TV series, wasn't there?
He sure took his time for revenge if he's coming back now.
True. What's your number 8, Dave?
My number 8 is the Child's Play remake. We're getting that in there. And it is Wes, the shop employee who was kind of friends with the mom. He's the one who gets dressed up in the Chucky costume at the end, and then gets the double painful death of he gets stabbed in the neck whilst in the costume, and we get that great scene of him falling onto the big unveiling of the new Chucky doll, and
it's a brilliant scene.
Everyone's cheering, and then he falls over. His head his Chucky head falls off, and blood sprays all over that little girl. Which I think, I don't know, other people, other directors and stuff, that would be it. He just dies there and then. But no, they actually stop the bleeding and he survives. And then he takes a drone to the neck and gets his whole throat cut open by a drone.
Brilliant. It is a brilliant kill. For me, number 8 is from Cult of Chucky, and that is when Malcolm gets the drill through the eye. So, yeah, it was a tough one on Cult of Chucky, because definitely honourable mention to the savage head stomp when she kills Foley. But no, I found that they were both really, really gruesome, and the kills in Cult are a lot more gory than some of the other films in the franchise. And Cult very much deserves its 18 rating because of its kills. Whereas I think the 15 rating, for example, for Child's Play is also fair. You just didn't expect the drill bit to come through his eye socket. And it was so gory and so bloody, and just a brilliant one for me. A brilliant kill.
Yeah, we're really getting into the traditional, I guess, Chucky kills. And that, I mean, gore and blood and stuff. It's a really good special effect.
Yeah.
Right, so my number 7, we're really getting through now. My number 7, we're going back to Child's Play 1.
Okay.
And mine is John Bishop.
Interesting choice. Neither of us went for the obvious one.
Yeah, neither of us, unless your free pick is perhaps that. Yeah, neither of us has gone with some of the other ones in Child's Play 1. But I think there's only 4 kills in Child's Play 1. And yeah, one of mine is the John Bishop one, because it is not only for the first film very creative. He gets killed by voodoo. He gets his legs and arms broken, and then he gets stabbed via the voodoo doll. It goes back to some of the other kills we've already mentioned, in that it isn't a gory kill. It's a very unique kill that's painful for, just the way his limbs are broken. But then it's also doubly interesting because we've never seen this kind of voodoo ever again in the franchise.
That's true. It's very true, and I do think it'd be something I would love to see explored in the TV series, like flashbacks to Bishop or a modern day practitioner of Bishop's stuff, like maybe even Bishop's son or daughter.
Yeah, I wonder if you took a bit of Chucky's hair, could you do voodoo on him? Because I guess his body is the doll.
That could be fun, couldn't
I
it?
mean, you could just sidestep the whole finale if you just get a piece of his hair, put that on a voodoo doll, and then just chuck that in the fire. You don't even need to fight him head on. You just burn him up there.
It's certainly something they could play with now that there's lots of Chucky dolls, isn't it? You know, each doll's hair is specific to that doll rather than all of them.
So yeah, that's on my list because of not just what happens, but because of the potential of what could happen.
It's a good call, and I think I think my number one is quite obvious, but we'll get to that, obviously. My number 7 is Ian having his jaw chopped off
Ooh.
in Curse of Chucky.
Very
There's
brutal.
some blooming great kills in both Curse and Cult. And yeah, I nearly put down Father Frank with the rat poison, but I didn't. The electrocution with the eye is wrong when they kills Jill. There's some really, really good kills in Curse. But having said that, I've only put it at number 7, so they can't be that good.
It deserves a number 7 rather than a lower one or not being on it at all, because I remember when I first watched that film and, Chucky is standing above him on the floor. He swings that axe. I don't know. I expected an axe to the face, an axe to the throat or something, maybe a decapitation. Nobody expected his whole jaw to explode.
Yeah, and it was so gory, so brutal and bloody, and more shocking than a decapitation or a scalping, I think. So, yeah, it's a strong one.
Nice.
What have you got for number 6, Dev?
My number 6 is it's a funny one. It is a car ramming by Chucky in Seed of Chucky. It is Britney Spears herself.
Yeah, you've chosen Britney Spears.
Yes, because it's Britney Spears. Like, to anyone who isn't familiar with the Chucky franchise, you don't get this on top 10 Jason kills or top 10 Freddy kills. You rarely ever get a celebrity in there. And for the audacity of it just being a celebrity, I mean, obviously it wasn't the real Britney Spears in the movie, but it's obviously, in universe meant to be Britney.
Yeah.
It's not, an audaciously cool kill like the aforementioned, jaw explosion, but he rams her car, she goes off the edge of a cliff and explodes. It's really just because it's Britney. And
I just love that Britney Spears has been dead in the Chuckyverse for so long now. And what's really funny is that it's the real Britney in that universe, because they have gone with the Jennifer Tilly thing. Jennifer Tilly is dead in that universe, but she's got Tiffany in her, and she's pretending to be Jennifer Tilly. And Jennifer Tilly's success in cards is Tiffany. And it's just fucking great that they're so committed to this with the celebrities that they play with, that Britney Spears has been dead in this universe since 2003.
I mean, that's insane. But it's not just that. Obviously, season 1 of Chucky didn't want to reference older movies too much, but I mean, surely in this universe, everyone would be like, isn't it fucking weird that in 2004, Britney Spears, Redman, and Martha Stewart all died within the same weekend, and then Jennifer Tilly also disappeared after being found in her house, which was filled with bodies. What a fucking weird week in celebrity history that was.
My choice for number 6 is Shane's lawnmower scalping in the remake.
Ooh.
I love a horror elaborate death. I do. And, him getting caught in the fairy lights and then then his face being on a melon. The whole thing is just so macabre. And it feels like a big statement as part of the remake that, we are going for this. We are going for the comedy. We're going for the brutality and comedy. And yeah, it was if I remember rightly, it was the first kill. It felt like a statement of intent, and it got the message across to me, which is part of the reason why I picked it.
Yeah, very much like the first Child's Play. It was not about the quantity of kills. It's very much each kill in that film, in the remake, is a big sequence. And it's very inventive, very gory. I still don't quite understand why he has a melon patch in his front lawn, but I guess it made the scene better.
I just enjoyed it. It was a proper cheesy horror film kill.
Yeah, and also there's that horrible moment where he breaks both of his legs.
Oh yeah, it's rank. The whole thing is rank. It's a torture porn.
It is. I mean, that's an exaggeration, but like it comes to that point where you almost feel sorry for him because it's so horrible. But he is still an asshole.
He is a massive douchebag. What's your number 5, Dev?
My number 5 is the Chucky TV show, which, as we've said, has a lot of great kills. But mine is going to be one of the first big ones in the series. It is Lucas Wheeler and the vomit electrocution scene, which ends the first episode. I remember when that show first started, and everyone, even the fans, were apprehensive of what a Chucky TV show was going to be like. And this kill to end the episode was so bizarre. It wasn't just violent, but it was just so unique and original. How he got drunk off whiskey, vomited it all up. I mean, just the visual of Chucky vomiting is insane. But then he vomits onto his feet, which then electrocutes him because he's holding the breaker, and you get that whole sequence of him being slowly fried. And so just the kill itself is marvelous, but then also the context of it is so good because you get his son there as well, like Jake watching the murder happen, and he's so traumatized by it, but the mixed feelings of he kind of wanted his father to disappear, and Chucky standing next to him in the sparks. It's a great sequence.
It's another one of those statements of intent that we talked about with the lawnmower scalping. It's one kill per episode, but it's gonna be a good one, was what I got from that. And it is a great kill. It's not my pick for the TV series, but it was definitely an honourable mention. The other ones that I really enjoyed in the TV series as well, there were like 5 or 6 that I could have picked from the teleseries.
Fantastic. So your number 5.
My number 5 is Chief Kincaid looking like Hellraiser from Bride of Chucky. I couldn't resist. I nearly demoted it because the nails to the face didn't kill him and it was just a stabbing afterwards.
I was going to call you out on that, yeah. But it counts. I'll count the nails.
But it was part of the kill. And it really was just everything that Bride of Chucky was about. You saw it from the very start where they had Jason's mask and everything else in the storage lockers with the police. It just took the piss, massively took the piss out of horror in a way that didn't ruin it, but made it a huge amount of fun. And even if Hellraiser didn't exist, Nails to the Face would be a fucking great kill.
It's similar to the TV show. It's similar to Lucas's kill in that it's not only violent, but it's also very original and it really sets a pace for how unique and off the wall Chucky can be compared to other killers. And yes, it does technically end. His life ends with a stabbing, but even that plays into what that film is going for, the relationship between Chucky and Tiffany. How Tiffany has the idea for not just stabbing, but then in the end Chucky's old school style of just stabbing people works as well. So there's nothing about that feels pointless. There's a lot of purpose going into that kill as well as it just looking cool.
Yeah, but it's spectacular and funny as well, and that's why I put it on the list. I wasn't thinking anywhere near as critically as you were. I just watched all the kills and went, "Lol, that one's going in." So that's why that one's there. What's your number 4, Dev?
My number 4 is Curse of Chucky. It is Father Frank. And like Kincaid, it's the double bill because you think the rat poison is going to do him in, and it almost does, but then he gets decapitated via a car crash, which is also spectacular. It's one of those scenes where, like Bride of Chucky, when people watch that, they think, "Oh, Kincaid, he gets the nails in the head. That's it. That's his death." But it's part of a longer sequence, and
Yeah,
the contextual sequence of Father Frank is what makes it so good in my eyes, because it's not just that he gets poisoned, but it's the whole Russian roulette sequence of Chucky just poisoning a bowl of soup, and then anybody could be the victim, including a little girl. It really shows how creative and also just sick Chucky can be.
it's massively tense, isn't it? And it is like yeah, like you said, like Kincaid, a series of unfortunate events that leads to a very spectacular death.
Yeah, it's actually weird. I mean, I don't know if it would have done him in eventually, but the fact that he does technically survive the rat poison, he just happens to be driving while, I guess, incapacitated. And then his car, a piece of metal, decapitates him in bloody fashion.
I mean, he wasn't a particularly likable character, so yeah. Would you like to know my number 4, Dev?
What is it?
It's Britney Spears.
Ah, yes. Oh, you hid that so well when I was talking about Britney. You did not give it away at all.
I was absolutely delighted when you named Britney Spears. And I was like, I'm glad we're on the same wavelength on this because it's so fucking dumb. It's just, what possessed them to go, lol, let's kill Britney? And why Britney? It could have been any character, any famous person. But they went for Britney Spears, and "Oops, I did it again" is a fucking line from Chucky. It's one of the funniest things in the entire run of all the Chucky franchise, is that they just randomly, callously kill off Britney just so Chucky can say that shitty line. It's wonderful. Wonderful.
It is. Oh god, yeah, I didn't even mention the pun, but yeah, the pun, it's all set up for just a disastrous pun, and it's so funny, that kill, because especially compared to other deaths that we've talked about, this one is so superfluous, you know what I'm trying to say? Superfluous.
Superfluous.
Yes. It is so unneeded in a sense, because she's not a character. This isn't
No.
forwarding the plot in any way. It's just this outrageous statement that, like, Chucky is taking over Hollywood. Like, watch out, everyone.
It's fucking great. I'm thinking maybe I should have put it higher.
And also, it's a really weird moment in history, because Britney was also in Austin Powers Goldmember, and she technically dies in that because she's a robot.
Brilliant. Dear. What did you put for 3?
Right, 3. This is an interesting one, and I'm wondering if you've got this one, but it's a surprisingly big one when you say it. But this is Tiffany Valentine from Bride of Chucky.
Interesting choice.
Because let's talk about the kill. The kill is she gets electrocuted in the bathtub, but she's also watching Bride of Frankenstein, which is so meta, and because she's the bride and she's about to be resurrected. And I mean, just the setup, just the actual sequence of how it plays out is really cool. It's really well done. It's well acted from her. And it's also interesting in a way because this was going to be the death sequence of Maggie from the first Child's Play. So this is a hold-off that Don Mancini has been holding on to for all these years, and he finally gets to use it. And then compared to so many of these characters, this is Tiffany. This isn't just a random victim. She is
Yeah.
such a major character, and you can't really do it with Chucky himself, but this is like one of the villains of the series. But she was also killed by Chucky, and she's in love with Chucky, and they get married. There's so much to why she dies that's interesting.
Yeah, I haven't got that in my top 10. It
Ooh,
is
yeah.
an honourable mention. It was one that I did consider, but Bride isn't the one that I have picked to kills from. But there aren't that many kills by Chucky in Bride, like we
Yeah,
said.
Bride was a small amount, yeah.
My pick for Bride was the Hellraiser, but it was a close run thing with the telly in the bath because it's such a visual kill, an electrocution, and there's a lot of electrocutions in the Chucky franchise, and that's one of the best. You've gone for 2 electrocutions, actually, the vomit and the telly in the bath. Oh, yeah. And I don't think I've got any.
Yeah, it's like when they always say, like, he's the Lakeshore Strangler, but how much strangulation does he do? He does
Very little.
quite a bit of electrocutions.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I did consider quite a lot of the electrocution deaths because they are very good, including the whiskey, including the telly in the bath, including the one in Curse as well, but they just never quite made the cut. There was also the one in, was it Child's Play 2, where he electrocuted someone.
Oh yeah, there's another unnamed technician, yeah.
Oh, that's right. That's at the very start of Child's Play 2. There's one, I can't remember which film it's in, but there's one where he puts the electroshock treatment thing on the person administering the shock treatment and kills them with it. Poetic Justice. That one nearly went in as well.
I was just thinking that's Child's Play 1. So that film almost had, in a total of 4 kills, 2 electrocutions.
That's true.
And he doesn't strangle anyone? Some Lakeshore Strangler he is.
He tries to strangle
he does.
But he's unsuccessful.
He has tiny little puppet hands.
In fact, has he ever actually been successful at a strangling? I don't think he has. I think he's only attempted them.
No, I'm thinking, I mean, I don't know if you, I doubt you'll mention it, but it's even like that flashback in Curse of Chucky when he stabs Nika's mother. Wait, no, she doesn't die from that, does she?
No.
But yeah, even then, like, she's like a pregnant woman, like incapacitated on the ground, and he still stabs her instead of strangling her. He never strangles anyone.
No, he doesn't. So my number 3 is the one from the telly show.
Oh.
And a really difficult pick. A really difficult pick for the telly show. And I could have gone with the syringe stabbing of Detective Peyton, and I was very close to the whiskey vomit electrocution as well. But I also really liked the absolute sadness and brutality, despite the lack of gore, of Detective Evans.
Oh.
That was absolutely heartbreaking. And Chucky being used as a bludgeon was fucking wonderful as well. But that is not what I went for. I went for Brie. The elaborate trolley window fall car, face through the windscreen, completely and utterly traumatizing her son death. That was brilliant. I remember when it first happened, I cheered. I jumped out of my chair and I went, fucking yeah! And it had to win. Despite all the other incredible strong kills in the telly series, that one will always be the most memorable for me, mainly because of the face through the windscreen. That was just unforgivably savage and brilliant stuff.
I think if I had to make bets on which kills you were going to pick, I think it would have been Kincaid and Brie. Because I remember in the TV series when we covered that, you really talking up about that kill. And it is a great kill. It's an homage to the very first kill in Child's Play, but it's even better than that because you said like that first kill, it's in Child's Play, it's memorable, but yeah, it's not violent and it's like, you know, Maggie's nice, but who cares? This had the build up of Brie as a character where you thought, you know, it subverted audience expectations where we thought, oh, she's having an affair. Of course she's going to be an asshole. She's going to be the bitch mother. But no, she's super sympathetic. She's like, she's got cancer. Like,
well, they face turned her, then murdered her, and it was savage. And it just took the Maggie kill and made it let's put the cliche in there, turned it up to 11. It really, really did. It was just brilliant. Brilliant. What's your number 2, Dev?
My number 2 is from Cult of Chucky, and it is one you mentioned. It is Dr. Foley getting his head stomped by Chucky, technically, via Nika.
Yes, that definitely counts as Chucky.
But, yeah, I mean, that kill is... It's so good, because we've talked a lot about asshole characters and how satisfying it is when they die, but what an interesting wrinkle of that character, Dr. Foley. Like, he's already kind of an antagonist, just for the fact that we know Nika's correct, and he's the one keeping her in. But then he becomes this weird, lecherous rapist, and even
he's awful.
Even Chucky is like, I can't deal with this guy. And so it is so satisfying, because not only it's a rare moment where Chucky gets to be a sadistic little freak, but he's also doing it on behalf of Nika. It's kind of a weird act of kindness towards Nika, like, thanks for the body, I'm going to do this in return.
Yeah, it doesn't make much sense, but the guy sure as hell deserves it.
I mean, I think Chucky was going to kill him either way, even if he wasn't a rapist. But I think him being a rapist made it more satisfying. And good God, yeah, we've mentioned it. These last 2 films, Curse and Cult, are so violent. They really ramped up the gore in these films. And the brutality, it just keeps going and going. Like, it's not a one stamp and his head explodes. You really see his face get crushed into his skull.
Yeah, it's exceptionally gruesome,
and on style points as well, because it's the shiny red stilettos that Dr. Foley gives Nika.
Yeah. Oh yeah, everything about the kill is great. Everything is.
And there's a cruelty in it, because, like, she's in a wheelchair and Dr. Foley is giving her these nice shoes, so it's kind of fetishistic. And then the tables get turned, because then Nika gets to use those shoes to kill him.
Yeah, and my number 2 is also one that you've mentioned as well. It was your number 10. It's my number 2. The technician's eyes in Child's Play 2 is just visually unforgettably gruesome. Like, even more than any of the others we've mentioned, I think it's something that is etched on my brain, because it's just so nasty and so body horror, yet not as gory as something like, for example, Foley's head being stomped, but it feels gorier in a strange way that you can't quite put your finger on. I love that death. It's an absolute horror classic.
It's grotesque. It is grotesque in such a unique way, because it's not his eyeballs. It's just a pair of plastic fake eyeballs, but it looks so ghastly when you see the ball of the eyeball above the gore, the bloody eye holes.
Yeah. It's so macabre and kind of, like I say, like a body horror that, yeah, it's unforgettable to me. Completely unforgettable.
Fantastic. And what a difference that film gets from number 10 to number 2.
So, Dev, what is your number 1?
My number 1, my free pick. I picked this last. I had to pick another one from the Chucky TV show. And mine is the other Wheeler brother, Logan Wheeler. And this is very much a kill by Chucky, because Chucky is the weapon. Chucky goads Junior into becoming a little monster, and Junior beats his father to death with a good guy doll, with Chucky himself.
It is another one that was so close for me to put in there. So close. I think your 2 picks from the TV show were my next 2 after Bree's trolley death. Those were my 2 that I would have put in. And my wildcard isn't from the TV show. So it's one of those moments from the telly show that you just almost cheer because it's such a good idea for a kill. Just and Chucky's face while it was happening, it's just brilliant. It was a brilliant kill.
The shot of him, like the GoPro on Chucky as he's being swung up and down.
Mm.
So that
Wonderful
leaves
stuff.
us with your number one pick.
So my number one pick is also from Child's Play 2.
Oh.
My number one and number two are both from the same film.
Ooh.
And it's Miss Kettlewell.
I wondered if you were going to pick her. That is an iconic death, an iconic scene.
The whole scene is perfect. Her disbelief, the actor is great. You've seen her in like 100 different things in bit parts, but I think this is one of her greatest moments. I couldn't even tell you the actor's name, but her horror, her disbelief, and the fact that, she's not just beaten with the ruler. She's already had the pump, which fucked with her. And there's something about it's one of the few ones that isn't off screen, but yet you have to use your imagination. There are quite a few off-screen kills, which, they're dull. But this one, you don't see it, but you hear it. And the just nastiness of making you imagine it from the sound effects is wonderful. But also the way it's directed, the way it goes out further and further and further each time he brings the ruler down, or I think it's not a meter stick, it's a yardstick in the States. Is it called a yardstick?
I believe that is what it's called, yes, a yardstick.
That would be a meter ruler in this country because it wouldn't be a yard, it would be a meter. But the ruler, the giant ruler, the meter stick, whatever, and the swing, and it's so artistic in a film that you wouldn't naturally think of as artistic, that it always stuck out to me. And I knew from the very start what my number one kill would be. It wasn't going through them all and then deciding the order. All the others, I did that for. I actually wrote them down, cut them out, and put them in an order. And I was like, I like this one more than that one. I like this one more than that. A bit like the Top Gear wall, moving them around with the magnets. But from the very beginning, from the very start of us doing this, I knew with absolute certainty what my number one was going to be. And it was Miss Kettlewell, because it's unforgettable.
It really is. And it encapsulates a lot of the different criteria we've been talking about. How, it's the build-up that from just the fuck you bitch on the paper to the whole build-up. Yeah. It's like she's kind of an asshole, but she's also just doing her job. So it's sympathetic, and it's so horrible that it becomes sympathetic. You don't see it on screen, which is similar. You don't see it on screen, which leaves it up to your imagination. They weren't at that point going for out-and-out gore yet, so it was a really interesting choice by that. Also, note that my number one kill was not as gory as my number two kill. I don't think Devon Sawa's head gets imploded by Chucky. He just gets horribly beaten to death, which is the same as Miss Kettlewell. You don't see too much of the violence. And also, I mean, that's not like a one and done kill, that yardstick. That is a horrible, slow beating to death. That probably went on for quite a bit longer than the dramatic zoom out.
Yeah, it was just brilliant. Just brilliant.
And a weird point to note as well with a lot of these Chucky kills is that when you compare him to, like, Jason, an adjacent build up to a kill, you see him pick up a machete, you see him pick up an axe, you see him pick up, I don't know, whatever, some ridiculousness. You see it like the Jason X kill, which is a great one. The woman who gets her head put in the liquid nitrogen. Like you get that setup of the liquid nitrogen, and then it pays off. With a lot of these Chucky kills, he uses multiple weapons and multiple things within one kill. So like the pump, the air pump to the chest. You think maybe that would be it, but then he pulls out the yardstick.
Yeah. I think there's a savagery and a true cruelty of She was probably going to die anyway, but he enjoyed beating her to death.
Oof.
I know, right?
So that has been our top 10s. Now we have to do the nerdy maths.
So yeah, we're going to need to do a little bit of maths. We'll be back in a sec. We'll play some music and we'll come back with our top 5.
I'm dumb. I don't understand numbers. I just like Chucky Kills.
So after some questionable maths, we are back. You had like seconds with that jingle. We took forever because Dev's maths is shit.
It's not just maths, it's fundamental understanding of how placement works in scoring and just counting, miscounting things.
So we've done well, mine's a top 5 and his is a top 9.
I've tallied up the scores using our scoring system of 10th place means 1 and first place means 10. I've added those up to put the films in a ranking, and you have figured out which kills rank supreme.
Yes, so I've done a top 5 of the specific kills. So for example, we both picked Britney Spears and the technician in Child's Play 2 as specific kills. All the others were individual. We didn't have much crossover. So in 5th place is Foley from Cult, who gets his head brutally stomped on. In joint 4th place, there are 3. There's the technician from Child's Play 2, who gets his eyes replaced. There's Miss Kettlewell, who gets brutally beaten with a ruler. And there's Logan from the TV show, who gets bludgeoned by a Chucky doll. And our overall kill across the entire franchise that the ChuckyVision hosts thinks is the best is Britney Spears.
Which we talked about how there's no blood even in that. What a bizarre... The maths decides that's the best kill somehow. What?
It says a lot about us, a lot about Seed of Chucky, and a lot about the Child's Play franchise that our overall top kill in, 1988, so over 35 years, is Britney fucking Spears. We have made a mockery of this, Dev.
This is why maths is bad. I can't wait for people to politely disagree with that.
We're going to be so unpopular. We're going to be so unpopular for Britney. But Dem's the rules.
Dems are the rules.
Right, so we've got a top 9, haven't we, of the actual films.
Right, so this is based on our judgments of the kills and how the maths all adds up. This is a ranking of the films based on the kills, and there's going to be some interesting choices here. So in 9th place is Child's Play 3 with a measly score of 3 points, which, there's some good kills in it, but I guess that's maybe where most people would rank Child's Play 3 just in general.
Yeah, I don't feel like that's massively controversial.
In 8th place, though, maybe a bit more controversial, is Child's Play 1, the classic original film. It only got 6 points.
It's not spectacular kills, though, is it?
I guess not. I mean, they are memorable by virtue of being in the first film.
Mm.
And that's not what we were really... Neither of us were really voting via that, methodology. 7th place is the remake with a score of 8.
Which does surprise me a little bit because it's so much more modern and has quite elaborate kills. But no, it's not done so well, has it?
Yeah, it has a very good kills we talked about. 6th place is a joint score with Bride of Chucky and Curse of Chucky, where they both scored 11.
Now, here's the thing about Bride of Chucky. We had to disallow almost half the kills from there because they were done by Tiffany. And if we were doing just kills across the franchise, I think Bride would have scored higher.
Yeah. So then in 4th place, this is also where I screwed up most of my maths because I was trying to count 5th place. Apparently, you miss 5th if there's a joint score in 6th.
That's basic mathematics.
I don't watch any kind of like competitive sports, so I don't know how ranking works. Anyway, in fourth place is Cult of Chucky with a score of 12. And I believe we've talked quite a bit about how good some of these kills were, how violent they were. In third place, here we go, is Seed of Chucky with a score of 13. So that was our top kill because we both voted for Britney Spears, but it was only third place.
Yeah.
Because the next two here, second and first, their numbers shoot up considerably in terms of, I guess, because of the free picks. I think these two, just the numbers add up. So in second place is Child's Play 2 with a score of 20.
Nice.
And I think that definitely happened because mine was in 10th place. So that was only 1 point. But then I guess you really jumped it up by putting it in second place, didn't you?
Well, that was my wild card as well, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So single-handedly, you put that in second place. And a lot of people really love Child's Play 2, so...
Yeah, it's always described as a fan favourite, isn't it? And there's a reason for it, because it's prime Chucky without any establishment, meaning interesting kills and Chucky being Chucky from the get-go, really. And I think that kind of reflects general fan consensus. Even if you don't bloody agree with your 1 point.
Yeah, I was the asshole, apparently, because this could have been first place.
Clearly.
Yeah. But in first place, it is the Chucky Season 1 with a score of 24. And that is because of another triple, my free pick. So that was a 5th place, a 3rd place, and a 1st place.
It does feel like, there are 8 episodes of that and there are only 7 films. There's a number of opportunities, hours of opportunities for kills that you don't have in the film. So it kind of does make sense, really, that that's number 1.
Right, so here, because we are a Chucky podcast, we are ChuckyVision, we want to do all things Chucky. We say that almost every episode, that we cover all things Chucky. Rather than talk about these in another episode, although technically, I guess we've talked about all these already, if you listen to the whole podcast. But we'll do a little runners-up in memorial. So for Child's Play 1, the kills that we didn't really talk about were Maggie. She got hit in the head. She fell out of the window. That was it's a pretty good one. And Dr. Ardmore, the guy who got electrocuted when in the hospital. And both of those are good kills.
Yeah, I liked the poetic justice of the shock treatment electro kill, but Explodium Caputo was the winner for me.
In Child's Play 2, we got the unnamed technician who was electrocuted by Chucky at the start when they were putting him back together. We got Matson, who was the slimy second in command, who was suffocated with the plastic wrap and threatened with a plastic gun at the start. We got both of the step-parents, Phil and Joan Simpson. Phil was knocked over the stairs and he broke his neck. Joan had her throat cut off screen. And then we also got Grace Poole, the woman at the orphanage who was stabbed in the stomach and fell dead on the copier machine.
I think that the kills in 2 were by far my favourites. Even the throat slit off screen, the sewing machine was really, really creepy. And Phil getting his neck broken was an absolute kind of behind the cushion kind of moment for me as well. And even the kill in the car where he tied him up with a skipping rope, the film's called Child's Play, I thought that was fucking superb. And the photocopy kill, maybe not so original these days, but photocopy death face, brilliant. If it was up to me, Child's Play 2 would have definitely been the top.
Yeah, a lot of them were definitely more colourful than Child's Play 1.
More colourful than across the board, yeah.
With Child's Play 3, we have Christopher Sullivan, the CEO of Good Guy Dolls. He was strangled to death by a yo-yo string. We've got the unnamed garbage man, who was crushed inside a trash compactor when Chucky turned it on. We've got Colonel Cochrane, who was approached by Chucky and then simply suffered a heart attack at the sight of him.
Clever.
We've got Harold Whitehurst, who violently jumped on a grenade which was thrown by Chucky, and he saved all of his friends, but then got his chest exploded. And we've got the unnamed security guard who was shot in the head off screen.
Yeah, none of those are particularly interesting to me, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, some of them are fun. I like the Colonel having a heart attack. That's kind of funny. The yo-yo string at the start. It's a fun opening to the film. The CEO getting attacked. Yeah, I wasn't ever really going to pick these other than an honorable mention. Then we have Bride of Chucky, which again, we're just talking Chucky Kills. We've got Damien, who he had his lip ring pulled out, and then he was smothered with a pillow. We have Officer Needlenose, who attempted to arrest Jesse and Jane, and in the process, Chucky put a fire into his fuel tank, and his car exploded. And we also have, again, another final kill, who is just an unnamed gravedigger, and he just gets shot by Chucky.
Are you not counting David?
Well, I don't even know if I'd consider that even a kill. It's just a sort of death by quote-unquote natural causes.
Yeah, the accident with David is really very sad, but I think you're right.
If we were doing top 10 child's play deaths, I think that would probably be in my list.
But there's also the elderly couple that get shot off screen as well.
Yeah, they do. Although I think I did not list that because we don't know which person shot them. It could have been Tiffany, could have been Chucky. But it may well have been one of them, Chucky. We got Seed of Chucky. We have Tony Gardner playing himself, the special effects man, who gets decapitated by Chucky and Tiffany with a razor wire.
Brilliant.
We have 3 unnamed people. We have the mailman, the pizza delivery man, and the real estate woman, who were all in the closet and murdered off screen. One of the mailman was killed with a machete. The delivery man had a knife in his back, and the real estate woman had plastic over her head. And they all fell out of the closet at the end dead. We have Stanley. If anyone who remembers, he's called Stanley. Stanley was the driver who gets stabbed in the back at the end. And then we have Tiffany herself. She gets an axe in the head by Chucky.
So double Tiffany kill.
And the wiki listed Jennifer Tilly as well, if she is dead inside her own body.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's possible, yeah. Although I don't think that's canon now because Nika's still alive.
Fascinating.
We have Curse of Chucky. Sarah Pierce was stabbed by the scissors, and I think that was believed. They said that was a suicide, but we obviously know that was Chucky. 2 unnamed people were killed in the car crash with Father Frank. Jill Taylor, the au pair, she was electrocuted when she was trying to do a little sex chat online, and it was the bucket of water by her feet, and then she gets electrocuted. Her eyeball kind of burns out. Barbara gets a knife to the eyeball, and I guess that kills her. It looked pretty deep, so I guess that kills her.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she's dead.
And then we have that, I think, depending on which version you watch, the last kill is Alice's grandmother. You get that scene where Chucky shows up at Alice's house, because obviously Nika and the rest of the family can't look after her. And we get that shot, we get that scene of Chucky talking to Alice. Obviously he says they're going to play hide the soul. And then you get that last jump scare of her with the plastic wrap over her head.
Yeah.
Cult of Chucky, we have Angela. Again, it's believed to be a suicide, but obviously Chucky slit her wrists off screen. Claire, who gets strapped down on a table, and then Chucky uses the little pressurized tank to smash the glass ceiling above her, which then decapitates her with the glass. That's a very good kill. Honorable mention for me.
That was an honorable mention for me as well. That's a favourite.
Yeah. Madeline, she is the woman who killed her own child and gets a bizarre death of Chucky putting his hand down her throat to pull something out, which obviously she needed to live. That causes a horrible death, and then they find her with Chucky's severed arm shoved down her throat. And then we have Nurse Ashley, a side character who gets drilled in the stomach.
Yeah, and I think the Nurse Ashley was a really nice precursor to the drill through the eye for Malcolm. It was almost like a stepping stone towards my favourite kill.
Oh, that was a big one we missed. Just missed that one. Nurse Carlos, the guy who gets gutted by the 3 Chuckies when he walks in on Nika.
Yeah, he gets drilled as well, doesn't he?
Yeah, drilled, his stomach cut open. Quite a horrible death for him. And he was a nice guy.
Mm.
For the remake, we have Rooney the cat, which was killed by Chucky.
Boo!
We have Gabe, who was the the landlord, the pervy landlord, and we get that great sequence of him holding onto the pipe as it heats up, and then he lands on the table saw, which cuts him up.
That was an honourable mention for me. That was, if we hadn't got the TV show in, I think that would have been my second, and
It's a good one. Yeah.
That would have got a wild card for me.
We have Doreen, who was Mike's mother. Hers is just getting stabbed to death, but it's if you count the whole sequence of her getting bashed about in her own car, that's quite a fun one. There are a bunch of characters here, like Zedmart employee, Jane, man, woman, who just a bunch of characters who just get killed during the finale, where all the other buddy dolls come alive.
Yeah, they're part of a killing spree. They're not main characters.
Yeah, and then for Chucky season 1, we have another cat. Poor Binks the cat gets killed off screen.
Oh, boo, boo.
We have Annie, the nanny, who gets pushed onto a rack of knives in the open dishwasher. Never do that. Never stack knives pointing upwards, because that happens. We have Oliver Hayden, who was stabbed to death, but it kind of sucked because he wasn't even the intended victim.
Yeah.
Detective Sean, who was the asshole who kept eating everyone's food, and then he gets stabbed to death with the syringes, and he bleeds out the fingertips. The unnamed man who was in the hotel, he's the one where Nika wakes up and tries telling him the crazy story, and she lets him go. He punches her, but then Chucky comes back and cuts his throat. Principal McVie, she was decapitated off screen, but we still got to see the blood because her head then rolls out onto stage in front of everyone.
That was so perfect, that fucking scene.
Detective Kim Evans, which I believe you mentioned, she gets pushed down the stairs, breaking her neck. Again, it's not violent, but it's not bloody, but it's sad because it's someone's parent, and she was kind of trying to do the right thing. Then we have 8 unnamed theatre patrons and Nathan Cross all getting stabbed in the ass through the chairs in the big massacre at the end of the season 1. And then to top that off, right after that, Logan Jr. gets stabbed in the chest by Chucky.
Yeah, the telly show had some brilliant kills. The dishwasher was great. The syringe stabbing was great. And yeah, Nathan was really sad, I thought, as well. And the complete lack of dignity in his death was grim. Yeah, the telly show really was great, wasn't it?
Yeah, the telly show in particular, and even some of the others, they really made me think, like, why am I picking this? Like, what goes into it, the context around the scene, because, like that TV show just listed then, there's a lot of great bloody kills that are very cool visually, but, every horror franchise, I think there's the reason why we do this podcast, and the reason why a lot of people talk about certain horror films like Nightmare on Elm Street or Friday the 13th is any horror film can just have a guy running around stabbing people, and you can get a kill count of like 50 people, but if like all 50 of those people are just getting stabbed in the chest and that's it, then that to me doesn't make a very interesting movie. I think it's a combination of how the people behind the scenes, the special effects crew, can make a truly inventive and unique death, but also the screenwriters and the director, and how they can build that character up to be a person versus just a random body to get stabbed.
Yeah, and I think both of our top 10s have kind of reflected that as well. We have gone for that was funny, we have gone for that was gory, but we have also put in stuff that is a bit less shallow than that as well.
Yeah, because I mean, it's very not shallow isn't the word, but it's very easy to be light and fluffy about top 10 kills, but we're ranking kills. Chucky is a serial killer, and we've talked about that with the TV show and stuff, that he is, in real life, he is like a horrible person, Charles Lee Ray. And so, again, it's not just, if there was 50 stabs to the chest, which one was the most bloody? It's about what he as a character is doing to people.
Before we go, I do want to mention almost like a bibliography of what we used for research here.
Yes!
We used the Fandom Wiki, which is a dedicated online encyclopedia to Chucky. And we also used the Dead Meat Kill Count series on YouTube. What we'll do is we'll put links to both of those on our Twitter at ChuckyVision, so you can check those out.
Yeah, there's definitely wasn't cross-promotion, but I introduced Mark just recently to the Dead Meat channel. I've been following it for a while. Both James and Chelsea running that channel are really fun people. They love talking about horror. Check it out. The videos we watched were the ones done, I think, in 2017. And that was a couple of years ago, especially for his channel. I think if you watch those, we talked about it. If you watch those videos, he's a little, I don't know. I mean, the Child's Play 1 is great, his video, but then you can see him really progress as the videos go on. And he is actually, when this comes out in September, if you check the Dead Meat channel, he is redoing his Child's Play series leading up to season 2. So he'll be covering all the movies and season 1 before season 2 starts. So keep an eye out.
Perfect. Well, Dev, I've had lots of fun. Another weird and wonderful between-season episode where we do something a little bit different. And I'm glad we did this one. And I'm grateful to the people who voted for this because it was huge amounts of fun.
Yeah, and season 2 is right upon us. We're going to be covering that. And once that's done, you know what's going to happen again. We're going to be waiting for season 3, and we're going to be doing more specials. So I think, I'm just throwing it out there, I don't know why we wouldn't do it, but we'll probably do more polls. We'll probably do more votes for specials next session, next bonus season.
Yeah, and what I'd like to see is if people who've listened to this episode want to chip in, tell us what they think of our top 10s, and or throw us their own top 10s, chuck it to us on our Twitter at ChuckyVision. We'd love to see that.
Definitely, yeah. I know this is something that a lot of YouTubers and stuff will do, top 10 Chucky Kills and stuff. So if you're listening and you've done a video or a blog post or even, just on Twitter, top 10 kills, yeah, we'll retweet the Chucky community.
Do it. Brilliant. So thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Chucky Vision. And until next time, wanna play? Chucky Vision is a podcast brought to you by the We Made This Network. Follow us on Twitter at ChuckyVision. Follow the network on Twitter at WMT_network. Our website is WeMadeThisNetwork.com. The logo was designed by Dev, and the theme tune composed by Dark Fantasy Studios. Wanna play?
Do you like crime stories, books, and people talking about those things? Then you should check out the Read and Buried podcast.
A murder? Oh!
I'm Frankie.
And I'm Sarah.
And in each episode, we pick a different theme and surprise and delight each other with a cheeky little review.
As you started reading, I was like, this sounds like a romance novel. And then you got to monstrous crime.
Yay, there it is. That's what we're here for, isn't it?
We're also regularly visited by many talented and best-selling authors, including the likes of Chris Whitaker, Elizabeth Haynes, Emma Stonex, Fiona Cummins, and a whole lot more.
I obviously listened to the podcast, and I listened to you interviewing Chris Whitaker, and I thought, oh, hey, that sounds like a really good fun podcast.
If you like your crime books with a big side of silly, this is the podcast for you. Listen to the Read and Buried podcast right now, brought to you by the We Made This Network.